The engine roared, but my tractor didn't budge. Karen's shiny black SUV sat smugly across my only path to the fields, its chrome gleaming like a taunt. She stood there, arms crossed, her lips curled into a sneer that could curdle milk. "You're not moving until I say so, farmer boy," she spat, her designer sunglasses reflecting my weathered face. She'd bought the old Miller place next door, turning it into her personal palace with rose gardens that screamed, "Look at me." Now, she was blocking my access road over some petty grudge about my tractor's noise. My crops were wilting under the late summer sun, and every second she stood there cost me money. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white, knowing this wasn't just about a blocked pad hit was war. Karen had stormed into our quiet town of Willow Creek 6 months ago, her city money buying her influence and enemies. She complained about everything: the smell of manure, the dust from my fields, even the roosters crowing at dawn. But this? Parking her SUV to block my tractor was a new low. I tried reasoning with her, explaining that the path was legally mine, a shared easement documented since my granddad's time. She didn't care. "I don't answer to dirt farmers," she'd said, flipping her hair like she was auditioning for a reality show. My patience was gone, and so was my harvest window. I climbed down from the tractor, my boots hitting the dirt with a thud, and asked her one last time to move. She laughed, a sharp, grating sound, and turned back to her mansion, dismissing me like I was her hired help. That's when I met Old Man Jenkins, the town's unofficial historian, hobbling up with his cane. He'd been watching from his porch across the road, his eyes sharp despite his age. "Son, she's been pulling this since she arrived," he rasped, pulling a faded map from his pocket. It was a surveyor's sketch from 1952, showing the easement clear as day. "She tried to bully my sister into selling her land last year. Don't let her win." His words hit me like a spark. I wasn't just fighting for my crops. I was fighting for everyone Karen had trampled. I climbed back into the tractor, my resolve hardening. Jenkins gave me a nod, like he knew what was coming. I didn't plan to destroy her roses. Not at first. But when I revved the engine and inched forward, her SUV still blocking the path, I saw no other way. The tractor's plow was already lowered for the fields, and her precious rose gardener pride and joy was right there, hugging the edge of the path. I shifted into gear, and the tractor lurched forward, the plow slicing through her meticulously tended roses like a knife through butter. Petals flew, stems snapped, and rich soil churned into a mess. Karen spun around, her scream piercing the air. "You savage! You'll pay for this!" she shrieked, running toward the wreckage, her heels sinking into the dirt. I didn't stop. The path was clear now, and I drove through, leaving her roses in ruins. She didn't just scream, she fought back. By nightfall, she'd called the sheriff, claiming I'd vandalized her property. Sheriff Daniels, a fair man who'd known my family for years, showed up with a weary look. Karen was in full performance mode, tears streaming, pointing at the mangled rose beds like they were her children. "He's a menace," she wailed, clutching her pearls, literal pearls. I stayed calm, handing Daniels the easement papers and Jenkins' map. The sheriff's brow furrowed as he studied them, then looked at Karen. "Ma'am, this path is right. You blocked it. He had to get through." Her face twisted, red with fury, but Daniels wasn't done. "You might owe him for crop losses." That shut her up, but only for a moment. The next day, Karen escalated. She hired a fancy lawyer from the city, some slick guy in a suit who looked like he charged by the syllable. They filed a lawsuit, claiming emotional distress and property damage, demanding $50,000 for her irreplaceable roses. I was stunned. My farm was barely breaking even, and now I was staring down a legal fight I couldn't afford. But then came the twist. Sarah, a young paralegal from the lawyer's own firm, slipped me a message at the diner. "I grew up here," she whispered, glancing nervously at Karen's table. "She's done this before bullied neighbors in her last town. I found her old case files. She's lying about the rose's value." Sarah handed me a USB drive with documents proving Karen had inflated the roses worth tenfold. She wasn't just a Karen. She was a con artist. Armed with Sarah's evidence, I lawyered up too, thanks to a crowdfunding page the townsfolk set up. The courtroom was electric, packed with neighbors who'd had their own run-ins with Karen. She sat there, poised and haughty, her lawyer spinning tales of her trauma. But when my lawyer presented the easement papers, Jenkins' map, and Sarah's documents, the room shifted. The judge, a no-nonsense woman, leaned forward, her eyes narrowing at Karen. "You knowingly obstructed a legal right-of-way, Ms. Karen, and your claims are grossly exaggerated." Karen's composure cracked, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. The judge ruled in my favor, dismissing her lawsuit and ordering her to pay $10,000 for my crop losses and legal fees. The courtroom erupted in cheers. Karen's downfall was the talk of Willow Creek. Her SUV vanished from the path, and her rose garden stayed a churned-up mess she couldn't afford to replant after the legal bills. Rumors swirled that she was selling the Miller place, unable to face the town's scorn. I didn't gloat, but I felt a weight lift. My fields were plowed, my crops saved, and the town rallied around me, bringing casseroles and helping with the harvest. Old Man Jenkins even framed his map, hanging in the diner as a reminder, don't mess with Willow Creek. This wasn't just about a tractor or some roses. It was about standing up to someone who thought money and attitude could crush a community. Karen learned the hard way that pride doesn't trump right. What do you think? Did I go too far, or was justice served? Share your thoughts. I'm curious where you stand.